welcome back. So it's time for another update. Well, as you know, I have already changed the title in the summer, and I think, well, last time, more towards Ascension, because in the end, the Broderian thing, it's part of the Ascension process. So let's do a little recap of the last 3 months. But before I do that, I want to thank everyone who has left nice messages on my YouTube or via my website, and all the lovely contacts that, well, have happened so far. An interesting story that I found out, and I want to really thank you. When I post this, I will already have started a new book giveaway for my book, and if you're interested, I'm gonna link the book giveaway down below. It's on Goodreads. So I think that's it. So we could start. So what happened in the last 3 months? Well, if you remember, if you watched the last video, you know that I was doing a second round of 40 days of only liquids, well, dry mode, and in the days when I would consume something would be liquids. I was doing this with my husband, and what I can say for the second period, for the second 40 days program, I would say that a lot of the programs, I was saying even last time that a lot has been cleared, but the truth is there's always more to clear. There's always, because as I was saying, we live in a matrix that is full of distortion. And what do I mean by distortion? Not only that, the actual, let's say, wireframe, if you want to put it in a more like programmer language, which in the end it's kind of like that, the whole thing was hijacked a long time ago, and a lot of things have worked differently than they should have been, and there's a lot of, let's say, implants, and there's this distortion machinery, plus all sorts of, let's say, energetical entities and things that all they do is basically hijack everyone and everything. So you won't be able to free yourself or to reach that your highest potential, and to free yourself, basically. But about that I will talk about in another video. But going back to the process, the actual second 40 days, in August, there was the 8 portal. There was another interesting thing that happened, which was another, let's say, evacuation of things that was inside me, which was kind of scary what I was shown. But that's the beauty of it, is because, as I said, the distortion, these things, which among other things is nanotechnology. Again, I'm going to talk about this another time maybe. They are forcing on you to just keep you down, or not allowing your energy and your essence to expand. So this was basically kind of like a forced evacuation, another stage of evacuation. There's still something I see inside of me, but that was a major clearing point, another major clearing point, because the energy, not just in myself but planetary, has grown, so more healing faster can happen, and certain things, if you are in the right energetical stage, it's impossible to live inside of you or to stay in your energetical field or energetical system. But after that, I still felt that there was something left, but I knew that there was a major, it was like I was shown that it was something really hideous, because these things look like, you know those things like in alien films? Well, when you have these weird things that you don't even see in your body, but that they actually do stuff, and they let's say they ply with your nervous system, with your emotions, that they just like run through you, and you don't even know if, I mean, of course I know now, I mean, I knew it before, but most people have no idea that they have all these implants and they have all sorts of weird things inside themselves that do not allow them to have the right focus, to have the right discernment, to make the right choices, is because of that. And not just because of that, but when you eat, when you drink, and do not have a break, and the body does not have a break to clear itself and to do the work that it needs to do, that thing can, you cannot realize who's running the show. It's like, these are my thoughts, or these are just like somebody else's thoughts. So you can't make that distinction. I mean, I can't do it, but most people can't. And it's not that they can't, but they do not take the time to actually consider, okay, maybe all these things out of nowhere, maybe they're not my thoughts. And like, especially now, when, as I said, the split is so advanced that a lot of, let's say, desperation on the on the dark side is happening. So a lot of this emotions and a lot of this mental weird things, like scenarios and ideas, are being implanted or forced upon people, is because they know that the energy is rising and they want to delay that. They can't stop it, but they just delay that by you still being kept in a low energy type of field, and as long as you're there, they can still feed upon you. You can produce food for them, and you do not free yourself, and you do not reach that whatever high potential that you are, and basically you don't free yourself. But of course, there is always a solution, and that is stop eating, stop drinking, and for as long as you can. You don't have to be extreme. You don't have to, but you can do it. You can choose a day every week where you don't eat, don't drink, take a break, even if you haven't done the process, and that will help you. Or have liquid days, when just like, let's say, juices or tea or whatever. That will help immensely, because what I've noticed after I've done the second 40-day program, the moment when I got back and started consuming, let's say, something solid or whatever, yes, the positive stuff, what I saw was like I was completely disconnected. I felt the pull that I had before toward, still the pleasure, and the pull towards, like, not being like an addiction, but before even doing this process, for me food was something creative. And because a few years ago I changed to plant-based vegan diet, it was so fun to discover and create recipes, and it was just, for me it was art, because I am a creator, I'm a designer, architect, and writer now. So for me, creating all this, even the food, it's a form of art. It's a creative act. So even that was like somebody unplugged that function, and all of a sudden I felt I lost the interest in that, which for a few years was very, very strong. As I said, not necessarily like the eating, although I enjoy it. The tasting of the flavors. But the actual interest, like, oh, I want to try new recipes because it looks interesting and whatever, that went away. Because another thing happened after I've done the process more than a year ago. I knew that will come a time when I will not be consuming any food or liquids at all. But with that in mind, I allow myself this transition where I would still enjoy whatever I can enjoy, because I knew and I allowed my body to transform further. So I allow it I would say at an organic pace, although I pushed through. Last year I really pushed through, because I went from like one day and a half in a week dry mode to 3-4 days, or even more sometimes. But what happened during the liquid phase, I would maybe have 1.5 days, 2, maximum 3 days, and then with just the liquid, so it wasn't necessary to do the dry mode, to extend the dry mode, because I felt like I had the same result somehow. But then again, it was a gentler way to erase this programming, because as I said, you don't delete it for the first time. It goes in stages. All these things goes in stages, and you have to accept that. You have to have patience, as I always emphasize. It's a transition, so there's phases. Plus, you have a life. You have to do things. You have work to do. So you have to apply that on whatever lifestyle you have and how you do work, right? So that's what I did. But after the second 40-day program and that elimination, that evacuation, towards, like, let's say in the last I think 2 weeks, there was another upgrade, and I felt it, especially last week. I felt again like I did another shift, but not just that, because I felt it around me. It's like I jumped, and like, you know, you jump timelines and how things like modify like out of nowhere. That's a sign when you know that well, things start to move, and that means you advance. So it's very interesting to notice that, and not just that, but a very funny and little thing that happened. I was with my husband at IKEA, and well, obviously do some shopping, and we stopped by the cafeteria and just like have a tea or whatever, something like that. And I felt, by the way, and before that I had a dry mode day before that. So when I came there, I already had at least 24 to 36 hours dry mode. And what happens now, it's even more, it feels like you are removed from the reality. This reality is like you have a layer. That's what I actually was shown in what happened in spring this year. Another layer was like popped around me, but this layer had to grow, and I mean had to be to reach its full potential. And now I feel like it has grown around me. It's like it's more strong, and I can feel the difference when I experience reality. And what I feel now is like I feel even more removed. It's like there is already this subtle, like some people are really on a different level of energy, and I'm here, and we can't really interact. It's a very interesting situation. Like we're basically already on parallel realities. It's just our connection right now. It's very subtle. It's not anymore something very like. And then again, it's very protective. That's what I noticed, which is fun at the same time. And by the way, today, I mean, last night, this was the best sleep that I ever had in a very, very long time. And I accessed another beautiful space, and I felt like I can't explain that right now, but the idea is that coming from there, I've already done a shift. So what I was doing is actually today, certain, let's say, I was supposed to run some errands. Everything worked out so magically and so beautifully, and I was seeing my interactions with the people that I was doing all these things, and their energy, their expectations, and basically their bubble of reality and what my bubble of reality was. So that was very, very different. And as I said, although we still have the physical contact, energetically we're really on separate realities. And as I was saying earlier, the funny stuff with IKEA was like, even between me and my husband, there's an energetical difference, and it's funny, but at the same time it's not funny, because you will see how the other somehow, not I said that he doesn't get it, because he gets what's happening, but you see how you separate from the ones that you from your loved ones. You're already like energetically you're separating, and you're afraid that actually you might not be able even to communicate with them, because you jump so fast the timelines, and all sorts of weird things can happen from that. But about that we'll talk about later. So I was there, and I got my tea, and and we had something with veggies and whatever. We had also a little snack, and he was going around. I asked him to get me I don't know, some of this like vegan sauce for my salad dressing, and he couldn't find it, although it was there. And it was so chaotic there, because it's like he still has this expectation inside his energetic system that still is part of a more, let's say, chaotic reality. And everything, when he went there, is like, no, that disappeared, that was not there, that was whatever. It's like, okay, I will go and then I will find it. And I just like, I went there, and I swear to God, it's like all of a sudden, like people and things just like went away, disappeared, and I found what I needed to find, and it was very peaceful. I returned to the table, and then it's like, oh, because I went to get a little bit of coffee, and then it's like, I mean, not me, he, and they said that there's no more coffee, but it will be like later in 15-20 minutes. And I said, but there was coffee when I went there, because I saw somebody getting the coffee. And then I was like, I was telling him, do you realize that we're just living two different realities right now? Isn't this obvious to you? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, wait 5 more minutes and then go. Because I was allowing him passage to my own energetical state, so he will get whatever he needed to get, because he was not aligned with that reality of mine where things worked, or things were where they needed to be. So things like this and even more extreme will start to happen. The more you heal, the more your energetical state is changing. So that's very interesting. What else can I tell you? I guess these are the most important things that these are the highlights, because a lot of things obviously have happened in these last 3 months in my life, and having this transition, and but I think this is the most interesting. And what I noticed is, okay, I've noticed these differences and these how should I say, it's like the reality is dissolving, and you really start to be on another timeline and on another, basically, time and space, different than most people. It's like the bubble grows and stronger, so the new reality is formed around you. That's what I feel, and what's happening around me is like that bubble becomes stronger. So who knows I imagine what is going to happen next, but that's where I am right now. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, this is what was most striking in this last 3 months, and especially now. And not only that, but it was funny to know that to see that also around me. I hear, oh, this system has changed, and that system has changed, and this doesn't work anymore. Since Saturday, this happened and this happened, and I was like, yes, it's obvious, because I have jumped and I'm on another timeline. So the reality will match my my energy field with my own expectations and belief systems, and the level of energy that I have, and how I am coded, in this way, So I think that's all I can tell you for this update. But I will make other videos, hopefully a few more until the next update, because right now I'm still writing book 2 and I will touch some other topics that might interest you and might shed some light. Yeah, I hope this was helpful and that you enjoyed, and see you next time. Ciao!